We return to Ladies Can We Talk with host Debbie Georgatos on 660 AM The Answer.
Hey there, welcome back, Ladies Can We Talk. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're in our second hour, and my leading ladies who are joining me as co-hosts tonight are Chris Davis and Drinda Randall, and I believe we have on the line Congresswoman Marilyn Musgrave. Hello.
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good.
Good. Thank you so much for calling in. We talked a little bit earlier about, I mentioned to people that you'd be calling in, and I'm so glad you did. These segments always go by so fast, but I'm hoping you could tell our listeners I want to give you a chance to make a short little pitch about Susan B. Anthony List, what they do and what you do for them.
Well, Susan B. Anthony List is an organization, the political arm of the pro-life movement. And our main goal is to elect pro-life women because we know that they have a very unique perspective on the life issue. And may I just say, the pro-choice guys always put the women out in front. I'm a former member of Congress, and they always have the Diana DeGette, the Barbara Boxers. All those women tell the pro-life men that they really don't have any right to be talking about this. So we see a very unique and appropriate role for pro-life women to be elected to public office and to be speaking out for life. And I'm the VP of Government Affairs. I work with members of Congress on our main legislative priority, the Unborn Child Incapable Act. And in light of these revelations, these horrific revelations about Planned Parenthood's business plan, their actions, boy, do we ever need a debate and a focus and legislation banning late-term abortion in this country. It's never been more evident.
Sure do. We've all been watching the Planned Parenthood tapes you alluded to that over the past weeks that talk about how just reveal how really barbaric their procedures are. Dorinda had one. You were going to start with something, though, right?
Yes, I was. Hello, Miss Congressman. Congresswoman, sorry. I am so sorry.
Marilyn will work very well.
Okay, Marilyn, I was wanting to know, how are the tapes being received in Congress?
Well, it's amazing. It's getting an incredible reaction from people in the House and people in the Senate. The pro-life heroes were just immediately incensed, and one of our pro-life women's caucus ladies, Diane Black, from Tennessee, immediately proposed a bill that would defund Planned Parenthood. And another one of our great pro-life ladies, Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa, has a defunding bill in the United States Senate. These things are a reaction to the just utter, people are just disbelieving that things like this are going on. And we in the pro-life community know that if you will take the life of an unborn child, especially if you will do it for money, what else is going on?
Right.
But these tapes have revealed these things to people that hadn't really thought about it before. And I have to say at this time, we're ladies talking, my heart goes out to women who've had abortions. Can you imagine what they're reliving and what they're thinking in light of these videos that have been released? I mean, it is just incomprehensible that people could be so cavalier about human life and these precious little babies and what they're doing to them for money.
Right.
Marilyn, this is Chris, and I am so glad that we have a National Pro-Life Women's Caucus like the Susan B. Anthony's List. And I'm wondering, can you tell us what are you perceiving is the national reaction? Is this really getting out among the populace as well? People who maybe aren't as tuned into pro-life issues as those of us who consider ourselves pro-life are?
Well, I think it really is penetrating the national media, and part of my time is spent in Colorado. And one of the universities that's been identified as taking this fetal tissue, the way they clean up all the language, is Colorado State University. And just the other evening, it was on the Denver News. And so it is penetrating it, unlike the silence that, with Gosnell and all of those wars. Somehow this seems to be getting out more. And we we know that people have a very strong reaction to these videos. They're just incredulous that these kind of things are going on, and it is getting out there, and it is causing a reaction.
Marilyn,
and this story is still in the news, for several days, which is very encouraging to me that people are paying attention.
And I think social media is really leading the way as well.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It is.
Well, and
and think of how many times they've been viewed, millions of times.
Yes.
People have viewed these videos. And so it really is getting out there.
Marilyn, this is Dorinda again. And the one thing that we had last week, I think it was on Thursday, we had the Texas State Senate talked about the tapes, and they're doing their investigation. And the Attorney General was speaking to the Senate at the hearing. And Dr. Donna Campbell is on that group for the HHS committee. And so one thing that she said is, did you know that when they talk about these videos, they're talking about the fact that they have to turn the babies in utero in such a way that they can keep the organs intact. And Dr. Campbell said that really is putting the mother's life at risk.
Yes,
and so
they're
that's
actually turning the baby to make it a breech delivery.
right.
Right.
I mean, it is very much increased risk to the mother. And again, it's for financial gain so that those organs will be intact.
Yeah. This is, Debbie, on this show, we talk about a whole host of issues, and we sometimes jump between political issues and legal issues and social issues. It's all about just encouraging women to get involved in the political conversation, to speak up for the conservative view on things. And on this life question, you said something that made me think, something I hadn't thought in a long time ago about women. You talk about women who've had abortions. And I was thinking about a friend who was telling me that she would be pro-life, but she had an abortion herself years ago, and so it didn't seem fair to her or right that she should speak up about being pro-life. It's like she got a good deal. She got to have her abortion, so she would be unfair to not speak up now. And I was thinking about the idea that comes from leftist thinking. I just said, no, it's exactly the opposite. Whether you tell anyone or everyone about it, you're entitled to a fresh, women, I'm speaking to our listeners, but if you have had an abortion, it does not mean you can't become ardently pro-life. This idea
that is so true. And many times I've been on bus tours, during the election cycles. I'll be going on one at the end of this month to try to persuade senators who happen to belong to the Democratic Party to support the Unborn Child Pain Capable Act. And you know what? Many of the rallies that I have, women who've had abortions speak with me. And there is no one more courageous than a woman who's had an abortion talking about her experience and what it has done to her life and urging people to be pro-life and to support pro-life policies and laws. We really feel at Susan B. Anthony List, not only are we pro-life, we are pro-woman. And, as you were talking, manipulating the baby within the womb, late-term abortions, those things put women at great risk. We've seen evidence before these videos of horrific conditions in these facilities called clinics. And we've seen Planned Parenthood resist with their political might and their financial resources any regulations on these facilities that we view would really increase the quality of health care, if you can call it that, in those facilities. There were places like Delaware where two pro-choice nurses, self-proclaimed pro-choice nurses, left a facility where abortions were performed because they said they were like meat market abortions. They weren't clean. Medical standards weren't adhered to. So women that have had abortions and people who've worked in the abortion industry, thank God, many of them are speaking out for life, speaking out for women who have been taken advantage of.
And, it's amazing, Marilyn, at that HHS hearing that the Texas Senate did, there were two ladies there. One was Abby Johnson, a former Planned Parenthood clinic director, and the other was Carol Everett, who ran an abortion clinic here in Dallas back in the 90s. And they were very enlightening about the truth of what goes on in there. And, Carol Everett said, if somebody will kill and dismember a baby, why wouldn't they keep 2 or 3 sets of books? How could you believe anything that they say? And so I think your website, the documentation that you provide to help us get the truth out about Planned Parenthood, that it's not just a measly 3%, or that they show their name with a picture of a mammogram machine, which they absolutely do not have. We have got to get that truth out.
That's the last thing I'm going to... Oh, sorry. Please go ahead, Marilyn.
I was just going to say there has never been a mammogram done in a Planned Parenthood facility anywhere in the United States ever. Even the President of the United States repeated that lie. They don't happen there. They don't do mammograms. So I tell you, that lie that I keep surfacing is so frustrating to me. They are not the last resort for poor women who need health care. We have community health centers that provide health care for women. They just don't do abortion.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in and say we're talking with Marilyn Musgrave, who is a former Congresswoman. She is the VP of Government Affairs for the Susan B. Anthony list, the pro-life lobbying group in Washington. And we do have to go off to a break here, but I want to urge our listeners, there's a list on your website. I think it's on your website. It says Susie B. Top 12 Reasons to Defund Planned Parenthood Right Now. That is brilliant. And I really urge our listeners, because you'll have these discussions. I'm always saying, speak up for America. You'll have discussions about Planned Parenthood. Be ready to say why they can be defunded, and it won't hurt poor people. So that's on your website. And I appreciate you. I'll ask one last quick question, then we got to roll to our break, which we are past. But so what do you give? What are the chances you think that this defunding of Planned Parenthood that is apparently going to go to the Senate floor on Monday, what are the odds that's going to pass?
Well, I'm praying for a miracle, because the miracle would be 60 votes. But what's going to happen in this political arena, we're going to put senators on record that are up for election next year, and we will know whether or not they want to defund. Stop making us taxpayers complicit in the hellish activities of Planned Parenthood. Don't make me a part of it. Don't give them any of our tax dollars. We'll get those folks on record. And in this political arena, knowing how they voted on that, knowing how they vote on banning abortion after the 20th week of pregnancy, will give the voters the information they need when they go into that voting booth to cast their ballot.
I'm glad to hear. That's a great answer. And I'm glad to hear that causing members of Congress and the Senate to be accountable. It's fabulous. Well, Marilyn Musgrave, thank you for calling in to Ladies Can We Talk. You're
very welcome.
Appreciate you very much. Appreciate Susan B. Anthony list. We're going to zip off to our break here. There's Debbie Georgatos, Chris Davis, and Dorinda Randall. Ladies, Can We Talk on 660 AM The Answer. Come on back after the break. We're going to talk a bit more about some of the developments in the Planned Parenthood tapes ongoing issue. And then we have some other actually extremely important issues we're going to talk about before our time is up. Come on back. Ladies, Can We Talk right after the break.